Beware, all nefarious evildoers. Your days of doing evil are numbered because the boy Wonder and I here are about to watch Batman. And we're going to take some tips from the Dark Knight himself on how to sock it to crime. Are you okay? Okay, maybe we should just start the movie or something. Wait till they get a load of us. It's a double bat fake out. You see, we're not really Caped Crusaders Batman and Robin at all. It's a fake. Really, I'm Joshua Zeiber, editor of the Video File Movie and Home Theater blog, and this is my 11-year-old son, Thomas. He is a boy wonder, though.
Yeah. Glad I don't have to wear this thing anymore.
I know. How do they do that? Awkward. Thomas, we just watched Batman, the 1989 Batman with Michael Keaton. But when I started it out, I actually started with another fake out, which is I put in the 1967 Batman the movie with Adam West, and we played about 10 minutes of it, and you thought that's just the movie we were going to watch. You didn't react at all to that, did you?
I didn't really care.
You didn't, that was perfectly fine with you.
Yeah.
Okay. You thought that's what Batman was?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. Yeah. We watched about 10 minutes of it. We watched up to the part where Batman gets attacked by a very rubber shark and has to fight it off using some shark repellent bat spray. Which, of course, he just happened to have handy on him because, that's the sort of thing a Cape Crusader keeps with him. Obviously.
And obviously sharks explode when they get
Yeah.
close to
Yeah,
sharks.
yeah, obviously, yes. When a shark falls back into the water, it's going to explode. That's just what sharks do.
Yeah, obviously.
Okay, but the reason that I put that on is just to show you what the image of Batman in the popular culture was prior to this 1989 version of Batman. Batman was seen as very silly and campy and jokey, and that's just what Batman was. And cartoony, which I know is a little ironic to call it cartoony when Batman's based on a comic book. But nonetheless, people thought of Batman as a joke. And this movie attempted to make Batman relevant again and make it cool. And I also showed you a clip from a vintage news story from 1989 of the opening weekend when this movie opened. And this movie was huge. Like, you can't even fathom how big this movie was. People really, they camped out the whole weekend before. They camped out for days before the opening weekend just to see it. There were huge crowds. People were so excited to see it. It was the biggest movie, one of the biggest movies ever at that time. So, here's my question for you, Thomas. Now that you've watched this movie, do you get it? Or did you think, what's the big deal?
I thought, what's the big deal?
What's the big deal? Okay. Did you like this movie or not?
I liked the movie.
Okay, you did like the movie. It just didn't seem all that special to you then.
No, it didn't really.
Okay. I mean, that's a fair reaction. So let's get into that. What about the movie did you like and what didn't you like?
I liked the Joker.
Joker, yep. He's a bit of a nutcase there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And was there anything you didn't like in the movie?
I also didn't like the Joker.
You
I liked and didn't like the Joker at the same time.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I asked you when we started this to have 3 notes or questions about the movie you were ready to talk about. So why don't you ask me the first one of those?
Why did Batman kill people? I thought he didn't kill people.
Okay. That's actually a really good question and observation because when this movie came out, it was a little controversial among fans of the comic book that this Batman did kill people. He had machine guns on the Batmobile. He set off a bomb in the Axis chemical factory that killed a whole bunch of bad guys. And yeah, he did. This was a decidedly darker take on Batman than not only than the original 1960s TV show, but of the original comic book as well, in which Batman had a strict rule that he never killed people. So that even today, that still continues to have some controversy among fans as to whether Batman should or should not kill people. Did that bother you, or were you just questioning it because Batman isn't supposed to kill people?
It kind of bothered me a
Okay.
little.
That a superhero is going out there and just knocking off bad guys?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. What was your second question?
My second question was why there I could see the rope on the when Batman was gliding. I could see a rope connecting him to the ceiling.
Okay. Well, yes, but Batman can't fly. He's not Superman. So he doesn't actually have superpowers. So I think that's intentional. That you're meant to see a cable when he like crashed through the museum ceiling, for example, and he swooped down to rescue Vicky Vale. I think you're meant to know that he's using a cable to do that because he doesn't have superpowers. So I don't think that's a mistake necessarily. It's just an acknowledgement that he uses gadgets and tools to do his things, his superheroing. All right. And what was your third one?
My third one was why did Gotham City have so many crime?
Yeah. Gotham City is a pretty exaggerated version of New York City. There was a period of time in the 1970s and 1980s where New York City was very crime ridden. Maybe not as much as this, but this was pretty exaggerated. But it's a comic book story, and in this comic book story, Gotham City is just full of corruption and crime and bad guys, and there's hardly anything good going on in there. Okay. Thomas, did you have a favorite Bat gadget?
I like the Batmobile.
The Batmobile. The Batmobile is super cool in this, I think.
Yeah.
It's a really cool looking design, and it's loaded with cool stuff. Yeah, the Batmobile's awesome. So we talked about a little bit about, did you have any parts of the movie you didn't like? What did you think of the love story between Batman and Vicky Vale?
It was okay.
It was just okay?
Yeah.
Now, when I ask that, is that you saying that because you're 11 and you're not interested in that, or is it that you thought that was not a good part of the movie?
I thought that was not a great part of the movie.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you on that. The Vicky Vale as a character is kind of boring in this.
Yeah.
She doesn't have a lot to do. She spends a lot of time just screaming, and she's kind of boring. In fact, when they made a sequel to this, the very first thing they did was write her out. So she's not in any of the sequels. They just got rid of her. They didn't kill her off. They just said that they broke up and then he never saw her again. Yeah, she's a little boring. Ironically, that actress, her name's Kim Basinger, she went on later on to win an Oscar because she's actually a pretty good actress, but just this wasn't her best role. She didn't have a lot to do in this movie. Yeah. What did you feel about the pace of the movie? Did you find it exciting enough, or did you find it too slow, or what's the deal with that?
I found it a little slow, but not too slow to stop me from being entertained.
Okay, good. Yeah, I will. I'll say that when I was watching it this time, I was feeling that. Again, yeah, I didn't think it was a problem necessarily, but I do see that this movie, compared to like modern movies, especially modern Batman movies, it actually has a lot less action in it than those. There's a lot more like plot and stuff going on between the big action scenes. That I don't think that's a problem. I think the movie actually has enough action overall, but I can understand like a younger viewer who's used to watching movies that have a lot more, like especially modern superhero movies like the Marvel movies and the DC movies, where there's just like constant nonstop action from beginning to end. This didn't have that. This had like long stretches where Batman investigates stuff and does stuff, and then there's the love story, which takes up a lot of screen time too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Most parts were especially slow.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, Thomas. So overall, if on our scale for this podcast of a W to an L, what is your rating for Batman?
I'll give it a W.
A W. Is that a strong W or is that a weak W?
Strong W.
Strong W. Hey, we got a winner here finally.
Batman is better than Superman.
Batman is better than Superman, he says. Okay. As Thomas here reviewed the 1978 Superman movie with us, and he wasn't a big fan of that one, but this one worked better for you then. Cool. Okay, so I think we're gonna close out our podcast here. If you enjoyed this content, please like, share, and subscribe, and make sure to tune in next week for another episode. Same bat time, same bat YouTube channel. Bye.
Like and subscribe.
Beware all nefarious evildoers. Your days of doing evil are numbered, because the boy Wonder and I here are about to watch Batman. And everything fell out of it, so I gotta do this again. Bruh.
You should keep that in as an outtake.
Fine. All right.